Okay, A246, we're going to start off in the very back of the case here. We have this accumulator spring, or accumulator. Make sure and change the O-ring and get it lubed up. We've got a gasket that goes on here. We've got our plate. Beveled holes take the Phillips, or these are actually Torx. Early ones are Phillips. I thought I'd already done a video on this thing, so I almost missed out on it. The other two holes take a 10mm. And make sure that you got the right kit, because this all looks similar to each other, all the 240 series. They are different. This gasket back here is different. Filters are different. As far as the clutches and everything go, that's all the same. But valve body gaskets, this gasket back here, filters, I believe the differential, there's some differences there. So as far as your kit goes, you can still end up, I would start off back here, because you're going to know really quick if this gasket doesn't fit, you know you got the wrong kit. Okay, 84 inch-pounds on these. Now, we've got to get the pistons in the back of the case here so we can put our gears in, and then we'll put the nuts and the rear cover on. I think I may go ahead and change the camera angle and leave it up a little bit higher so I don't have to keep moving it around in a minute. Alright, one down in here is low reverse, and they're just O-rings. Lubed them up really well. One over here is the underdrive. Just O-rings again. Okay, got cocked on me. Okay, there's two sealing rings that go down on here. Especially on Toyotas, I always take my sealing rings and check them in the back of the drum. So I don't know how well it's going to show up on here. Just go ahead and clip your sealing rings together. They go together just like so. And make sure that they don't just fall down into the bore. And it just unclipped. Alright, that's going to fit nice and snug. And that one is going to also. So we can just go ahead and put these on. Be careful when you're stretching these out. Just go enough to get it past the ring groove. Don't want to go too far, you will snap them. And then the way I get them to hook, especially when you're down there where you can't get but one hand, I kind of hold in this side and I push this around. It kind of pushes it out, and it'll bring it up and around, and it'll just pop in. And I don't think that's going to show up very well. But we're in there. We got our return spring and our snap ring. We want the short end of the taper of our tips up. There's always a taper to a snap ring, and almost 99.9% of the time you want that shortest end up. Every once in a while there are exceptions to that. And I just start one end of it in and just keep working it around. You could take it over to a foot press, but by the time you get it all set up, you could just push it in. Alright, we're gonna get something underneath the gear, hold it up. my tools are taken up. So this has got to go down on that sleeve. I'm going to go ahead and lube that up some. I should have lubed up that other bearing also. I lubed up the inside, but I didn't lube up the outside. Too many transmissions up on my bench. Having a hard time with parts this week. Okay. Here we have this gear that's going to go here. And our nut. And then on the front side here, we have this return spring. It's got to sit on there like so. Okay. So then we got our steels. They're going to go in first. And our clutches. And your clutches may look different. The lining that you originally had might have been narrower, not be as wide as this. It doesn't matter. We got our pressure plate. The little spring's got to sit on those tips. Alright, we want the opening of our snap ring not to be in the center here. We want it over here somewhere. We're going to have to push this down while we put our snap ring in. And this is probably going to turn a little bit, so we want to compensate for that. Okay, the battery died. We've got an O-ring on the outside here, O-ring on the inside. You have a check ball in here. You want to make sure it rattles, and you want to make sure it seats properly. We're going to go over to the foot press. This sits down on here. Springs sit on those little tips. Short end of the taper is going to be up again. I'm going to put the opening away from these little tabs that stick up. Alright, then we got our steels and our clutches. See how there's an opening? We're going to keep all the openings together. Now, a lot of people make comments about soaking clutches. I've never found a difference one way or the other. If you want to soak the clutches, go ahead. I don't find a need to do it. We got this washer, we got these flat spots. Got to fit right there. And when we put this in the case, we have this rattle clip that's going to sit. It's got this little leg on it. It's going to sit right there. This is going to sit up against the case. See if we get a good view of this. This thing's going to sit right in that little ledge right there. And then the sprag just sits on top of that. All right. Come on now. Why are we being difficult? There we go. Just sits in there just like that. We have a bearing. Where'd my bearing go? Bearing sits on top. This drum's going to sit down on top of that. Make sure you get your spline all the way into the clutches. Once you get down so far, it's going to only turn counterclockwise and lock clockwise. There we go. I think we got one more to go. Alright, I think that is down. Our sun gear goes on top of that. It just rides on the back there. This is going to spline onto here. Then our gear is going to go on the back. We got this bearing. Going to go on that way. It's going to ride right on the front of that. Once I get all this there, I'm going to move the camera up because I think we're going to need it up higher. Pretty soon I don't think we're going to be able to see everything that's going on. So I'm going to get this in there and then we'll tighten the nuts down. 133 foot-pounds on there. Be sure and stake those. Be sure that you can turn the drum. Should be able to turn both gears once it's in park. You should be able to turn them both one way, or if you can't, then you've got a clutch that you missed when you was putting that all in the back side. Thin layer of black silicone. I use that. You just want a good grade of silicone. Don't use that cheap stuff. Ultra black, ultra gray, something like that. Definitely don't ever use that orange. That plain black, that's not good enough either. Back cover on. There are 2 bolts that are longer than the rest of them. They go right here. Okay, 84 inch-pounds. There's a sealing ring that goes on the end of the shaft. It's scarf cut, it just goes together just like so. You can put some grease on it if you feel the need to. Hold it into place and keep it from pooching out, but normally I don't find a problem with them. Alright, then we got a 3-piece bearing. This part of the bearing usually stays in the race. We got the race that goes on top. Make sure it fits in the back of your sun shell. It's going to go right there. We got this new washer. It has a big tab and 2 small tabs. Big hole, 2 small holes. This goes on top. Same with this one. We got our low reverses. Got an opening that's going to have to go in there, otherwise you're not going to get it together. Here again, you might have the lining was thinner and not as all the way out to here. It does not matter. Got our pressure plate step goes up. Got our snap ring. And scoot it back a little bit. Okay, we're going to be difficult. There we go. We'll leave it right there. We got our sprag. Let's see. I believe shiny side goes up. Yep, shiny side goes up, dull side with the dot goes down. And I believe this turns counterclockwise. No, this turns clockwise. And just kind of put a little bit of pressure down and it should go in. And we got our snap ring that goes on top. So we're turning clockwise, locking counterclockwise. Alright, when we put our sprag in, this side is going to face down. We got our intermediates going to sit on here. I need to check my clearance on my low reverses before I go too much further. Our pressure plate's going to go with the, actually I did that backwards. What I'm thinking here, thinking of other things. Pressure plate goes with the step down. Our sprag. And end with the steel on top. Our return spring sits on there. pick the O-rings that fit your piston the best. Our feed hole right there is going to face at 6 o'clock. Right here on this hole, we have a tab on this one. It's sitting right up here. Put our snap ring right over here. Camera's kind of right away. Try not to hit it. Okay, and we got this thrust washer. 3 little tabs are going to go in there. This bearing goes on the back. And this 3-piece bearing, this race stays on the bearing. It's going to fit in the back. The little lip's going to face forward. Just like so. And our race, the lip's going to go down. Okay, our band's going to sit in here. And we're just going to leave this loose for the momentary. And we'll go do our forward and direct drum. Should have done those before I moved the camera. Okay, let me move the camera down. I was trying to not move this thing so much. Okay, our direct drum got O-ring here, O-ring here. There again, make sure your check ball is free and is sealing. We have cutouts here that go right along in there. And short end of the taper up again. We're going to put the opening away from these tabs. And we'll go ahead and do the forward drum as well. Just make one trip. Damn it. Alright. go. Return spring for that. Snap ring short end of the taper up again and over there. Alright, and we got, so it's our pressure plate. We got our steels and our clutches. Step part of the pressure plate faces up. Snap ring. Steels, we're going to keep the cutouts together again. The directs are thicker than the forwards. Step goes up again. We have our washer here. It's got a step side. It faces down. You don't want to use a lot of grease on this because it tends to fall off. Got 3 sealing rings here. Use grease to hold these in the groove if you need to. Okay, this washer, this bearing goes in just like so. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm thinking, wrong tranny. Shiny side goes down. And then this one goes in the back side. Our drum sits on the top. Okay, on your pump seal, you want to make sure and go just past flush. You don't want it flush. Okay, on your pump gears, it doesn't matter which direction they go, but you want to pay attention to the way it was. You can see how your converter was in there, and that's the way you want to put it. Put it back the way it was. And line up our ports on our pump right here. Sealing rings are butt cut, so you can't screw that up. You got these 10 millimeters that go in here. This is what the tins look like for this. Okay, we got a washer that goes on. The tab sits right there. Our 2 sealing rings. Here again, you can use grease to hold them in the groove if you need to. Got the O-ring that goes on our pump. We got 2 O-rings that go on our servo. And then we got a sealing ring that goes in here. Alright, where are you at? Right there. Alright, sealing ring. Here again, you can use grease if you need to. Keep your old O-rings because these are very easy to cut when you're putting them in. Alright. I'm going to move up top. Okay, I went ahead and put the servo in. Make sure everything's in its place. Drop our clutch drum in. Seems like we need one more clutch. What's this going on here? Dadgummit. Something don't feel right. Guess it's down. Alright, let's get our pin in there. Pin goes in the band. differential, line up our pump. Okay, the pump bolts have a B on them. Looks like we're going to be fine on our clearance. I'm going to leave this loose. Alright, we got this seal. This side goes up. Layer of silicone. I'm going to lube up our pump O-ring. I'm going to put our front case half off. I forgot, here's the sealing ring, goes in right there. Okay, we got these bolts that go in the case. 3 of them are different. They go down here. Alright, I'm going to get this tightened down. Don't forget to tighten the pump too. And then we'll finish this up in the morning. Okay, here's your air checks. Underdrive brake, underdrive clutch, low reverse or first reverse brake, second brake, servo, directs, forwards. Now we got a seal that goes in here. The rubber side goes down. Flat rubber disc goes on here. Got the cooler check valve and spring. Got 2 accumulator springs here and our O-rings on there. Single spring here. Single spring. Single spring. That one's going to probably pop out. Alright, we got this little deal here. It's going to go up against the sprag assembly. Actually, how was this going? Alright, we got this little bracket here. It's going to sit on here. This little piece sits on top. Our little bolt, 10mm. The little bracket goes on the back side of that lug for that sprag. Okay, our valve body, our linkage has got to go in that hole right there. Sorry, wrong hole. Alright, get back up in there. Busy. I'll talk to him whenever I get. It's supposed to be steels. He knows that. He ordered steels. They sent clutches. Lazy bastard. Okay, get our bolts in the right spot, and we shall measure them. Okie dokie. We got 1 inch, 1 inch 3/16. These should all be the same. All the way over to here. These should be 1 inch, 1 inch, and 2 inch 183 on these three. And our filter, these are reusable as long as you can clean them out, change your gasket. There are several different filters depending on which model you're working on. A245 itself has 2 different ones. You have up until 2001 or 2002, and then a different one from there up. And you're going to see a big difference not only in your pickup here, but the distance from here to here, the shape of this, and every one of these little cutouts where your bolts fit. And they're going to be in a different spot, and your filter's not going to fit properly if you don't have the right cutouts. So be sure and match all that up. Okay, this 2-wire gray and green goes to the pressure solenoid. Yellow goes to the lockup solenoid, and it's a clear connector. The 2 black connectors go to the shift solenoids, black and white wires. Alright, put our pan on. These are the bolts for that. Alright, I forgot about the fact that the R&R guy said there was something wrong with this plug. I ordered a pan, I did not get one. So let me figure out what I got going on here, then we'll finish this up. Okay, I don't know what his problem was. It went right in for me. He had it cross-threaded. O-ring on your filler tube. Put our vent tube on. On your neutral switch, put your shifter in neutral. This little indicator right here needs to line up with that little line right there. And then tighten your 2 tins down. Just gotta put your lever seal in first. Normally I don't take my linkages out. I could have went ahead and put this lever seal in right when I did the pictures earlier. I usually just get a pocket screwdriver and pop this out. There's no need to take all that out. But if you feel the need to do it, you can put this in when you do that. I just pop it out with the pocket screwdriver and then just put it in with the socket. Now, put our neutral switch on. Okay, being a little snug. It came off a little snug too. These 2 bolts are our neutral switch. Go ahead and tighten down this 7/8 right here. So we got everything's lined up. Alright, right there. And 10mm on here. Actually got these bolts swapped around. That one on the back side of the valve body should have been that one. Alright, 12mm on that. And normally I don't take my cooler lines out. Normally that bolt's still in there. And I just leave my cooler lines hooked up to it. Normally the bracket that holds them is still on there. For some reason they loosened this one, so I took them off. Other than that, we are done with this rebuild, and we'll see you on the next one. It's 17 on the bottom, 14 on the top. And don't try to take your cooler lines off of these fittings. They get spread out and you're just going to screw them up trying to get them out. So don't don't try to take them out. And then we have this spring and this check valve, filter, and this little filter here, the open end is going to sit up. Oh, no, that's not where it went. Where were you sitting? Right there. Alright, then we got our separator plate. We'll wait for the new filters to show up and see if they do in the kit. This little filter needs to poke up through the plate, and we got a Phillips. It goes on here, holds this all together, and we're going to make sure this is lined up before we tighten that down. I'll leave this just the way it is, and we'll see what we get in the morning. Okay, we had 2 large balls, and they are a 1/4 inch. The rest of them are 2/18. And this one goes right there. This one goes right there. 2/18. There. There. Right there. And right there. And I'm going to put new ones in when my kit shows up. Alright, manual valve sits in there. These 3 bolts go with that. And on our separator plates, this little filter sits, let's see, where was it sitting? I believe it was right here. No, it goes on this side. Sorry, it goes on this plate. It sits in that hole right there. Usually you get new ones in the kit. If I do, I'm going to put one in it. Unless my gaskets are bonded, I never put gaskets on there, so these are going to go in the trash. If you want to use the gaskets, you better match every single hole. You can get yourself into big trouble on a Toyota really quick if you don't match every single hole, and these gaskets love to just fall apart, so sometimes it's not easy being able to match the gaskets up. I have never put gaskets on my Toyotas, any of them, and they work just fine, so don't fret it none. Alright, I'll be back when we get the next part. Okay, hopefully it records this time. So apparently between when I got the parts and me assembling it, I didn't get the recording of the valve body being put together. So yes, I know this valve body is dirty. This is not the one that went on it. So we have the valve body that goes here. We have this piece here. And let me remember how this goes. It's like so. It goes this way. Why are we not going? There we go. Right there, just like that. A lot of these bolts are missing, so normally I leave these gaskets off like I said. This goes up on top. Most of these bolts are missing, so I'm not going to be able to show all this. I did, however, measure all of them, so I will put them at the end of the video. So they will be there. And it was already not wanting to record, so I don't know if I thought I recorded it, but I cannot find the recording anywhere. So that is why we were doing it this way. I had another valve body, it was upstairs, and I can just show this, and this should suffice. Alright, so all the bolt measurements will be at the end. That is how it assembles. And shift solenoid, or lockup solenoid, 2 shift solenoids, and the pressure solenoid.